Welcome to CPG Vibes. No script, just chat. We talk all things food and beverage and so much more. Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcast or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review. If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service or be a guest, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com. Now your hosts, me, Alex Baer with Genius Juice, and Wade Yenny. All right, welcome to episode 72 of CPG Vibes. We are here on this very overcast Friday, at least here in Los Angeles, which is good for me because I got pale skin. Speaking of pale skin, how you doing, Wade?
I'm doing good. It's pushing 90 here in North Carolina today, so we are sultry and sweaty, and we're eating lunch if we're on the West Coast. We're about ready to take a nap if you're on the East Coast. So let's party.
Let's do it. No better place to party than with the CPG Vibes crew. That could be sarcastic. That could be not. We don't know. So some laundry list items just to go over, as always. 5 stars. That's going to be it's continually very important for us. So you give us 5 stars. We're at 85 now. We've been at 85 for about a week or two now, which is, not up to our standards, Wade.
I was going to say unacceptable, quite honestly, right?
Yeah, it's borderline. It's unacceptable, borderline fan negligence. I'm going to go that far. So make sure to log on to Apple Podcasts. It's really easy. Do it right on your phone. Look for our beautiful faces for radio. It's an orange square, and give us 5 stars. It takes literally like 37 seconds to do it. In the time it takes you to bite into a burger and chew and swallow it, you could give us a 5-star rating. If you're vegetarian or vegan, bite into a plant-based veggie burger or whatever of your choosing. And if you'd like to be a sponsor on our show, it's filling up quite fast. We're booked out now for 2 or 3 months. And you can email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. That's cpgvibes and the number 100@gmail.com. Same thing if you want to be a guest. Make sure to also email us, same exact email address. We're booked up for most of the year, but we do make exceptions here and there. And just a little preview as far as our sponsor for this week is, I was going to show the bottle here. I'm sure you brought yours, right?
You know what? I did not, but I was
okay. It's all good.
But I brought this link.
What did you bring?
The link.
Oh, you brought the link. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, when you said this, I was waiting for you to show something. It's you inputted something into the chat. Okay. So Rich Insights, Richard Moniz, they did some work for Genius Juice on our new shot launch, which was great. And it's awesome. We'll tell you more about them later in the episode. And but of course, you can win the slew of prizes. He's giving out a tumbler. We're chipping in as part of this with Genius Juice. We're giving out a free case of our Genius shots, which are coming out next month. So that's going to be exciting, and a bunch of other stuff. He's planting trees in your name and all these cool things that's integrated into his sponsorship. So make sure to stay tuned in. And at the end of the episode, if you answer a trivia question, you can win the sponsored prize from Rich Insights. Cool, man. So how you feeling? You're in party mood because your shirt shows that. It says Fiesta for those that are not watching.
Yeah. Are the comments showing up for you in the box? Because I have to look over in the other one. They're there, but they're not live. But that's irregardless. I've got my Fiesta El Luchador bar in San Antonio. It's a wrestling themed bar, which is right up my alley, as you can imagine. So if you go in there in San Antonio, you will often find WWE old school stuff playing in the background, little wrestling ring figures and stuff, and this mask guy right here. So it's right up my alley. Doing good. Our daughter arrived right around a couple hours ago. Walked around Greensboro a little bit, grabbed some lunch. She's probably taking a nap right now because she had an overnight flight. But we're looking forward. Yeah, it's her first visit since we moved. I think everyone knows we were out there for Christmas and, of course, Expo West. But this is her first visit over this way since we've moved just a little bit over a year ago. So it's great. It's a good weekend to have her here. The weather looks good. We're excited. That's awesome. Why part of the reason why, not part of the reason, the reason why early today, I'm actually on a vacation. So this is not work time. This is Wade time. So it's looking to be a good weekend.
Cool. Hence why you feel like partying. It's a day off with your family, with your daughter. It's cool that she's visiting. So definitely, enjoy that really special family time. And you're right. The comments are not coming in through our app, but the most important thing is it's coming through on LinkedIn. I'm seeing the comments. So we're going to do some shout outs here. That's what we do on this show because, hey, to get top 10 in Chile and New Zealand, you got to be doing shout outs, right? That's a part of this. They love shout outs out there. Right. So we're going to run that till the wheels fall off, literally, just the fact that we're top 10 in these other countries. And we're also using that as motivation. We need to get top 10 here, like for business, entrepreneurship podcasts. And I know sometimes we go off the rails, we get random. We got guys cooking chicken tenders in their home kitchen as guests. That was Dano's last week. It gets a little random on the show, a little fun, but we didn't want to make it the traditional podcast, right? We're anything but traditional in any sense. So we'd like to have fun here, but we'd like to get down to business. So again, goes back to it, 5 stars. That's the pathway to get to be a top rated podcast. And we need that. So, so some comments here. We got Rich Monez. Obviously he is our premier sponsor for this week. And also mentioning V-Driven. They're our long-term sponsor. We'll talk more about them, but vdriven.com. Make sure to check them out. And Rich is saying, and I'm going to move the screen over, happy Friday. Hope it's been a good week. Again, we can't display these comments because StreamYard has screwed the pooch once again. It's like, StreamYard is the reason. This is how uncensored this show is. They are the reason we have this show. They provide the software, they provide the technology, they provide everything, all the backing that we need from a technology standpoint. And we're just ripping them a new one right now because they screwed up our comments here. So there's no loyalty in show business. So
exactly. And you mentioned the episode last week. If you're just joining or haven't had a chance to check out last week's show with Dano Seasoning, that was great. And then also released this week was our show that we did with Jesse over at Startup CPG. Yep. You and I were the guests as opposed to the hosts. So that was a lot of fun. I saw some feedback in the chat from Kenny. And I know I've gotten a little bit of feedback direct to me this week. And it was a lot of fun. Jessie just does a great job. She's a great host. I did some things with her with, I believe it's Brand Jectory, if I'm not mistaken. We did one of their events, and she's awesome. Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome. If you're not following that Startup CPG podcast, you definitely should. Alex and I were guests, and the episode came out this week.
Yeah. And, I listened to it because honestly forgot half of what we talked about, given this is a blur. We're like in the podcast blur. We're in all these different podcasts. We have our own podcasts. I have my other podcast. And listening to it, I'm like, did I make any sense in our interview? Like, did I say good things that were of value to the listeners? And you did, obviously. That's a given. But did I? Because I'm a wild card. And it came out really, really good. Like, the education on how to, the buyer brand dynamic, how to manage that relationship, how to pitch your product, how not to step over that line. We've talked about the etiquette on shipping samples, right, to buyers, and and making sure it gets there in one piece, make sure it gets to the right address, make sure you don't send it over the weekend so it spoils over the weekend if it's perishable. So all these things we talked about, it was super valuable. And even when I listened to it, I'm like, man, that's really valuable. A lot of people are going to get a lot out of this. So make sure, check it out. If you just go to the Startup CPG podcast or one of our posts, you will see it. And we are going to do a clip. We're going to do a highlight clip reel on CPG Vibes, our LinkedIn company profile page. So you can check it out there as well. All the highlights from that interview with them. Some other comments. Kenny Hausman, happy Aloha Friday. I'm looking over here. I got to get this back. We got Don Tolk with Neil Leah. They sponsored us a few weeks back. Happy Friday. And then, and then one other thing I want to mention as well, just want to make sure, because I love this guy, I'm going to be a guest speaker, is Next Level Summits. And that's at the Hyatt Hotel, Gainey Ranch, Scottsdale, Arizona. And it's going to be June 26th through 28th. I'm going to put the link. I put a link up here, nextlevelsummits.com. And you can actually just message Stuart Press, LinkedIn, just Stuart, Stewart, Press, like a printing press. And you can reach him and he can give you some complimentary tickets that are still available to attend. There's some major corporations that are going to be there. There's sampling there. It's a 3-day event. Two days are more heavy, Tuesday and Wednesday. And I'll be speaking on the 27th, which is that Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. Again, I have to say the year because our podcast is also recorded and I don't want people to think it's 2024 when they're listening to this a year from now. It's got to be careful these days, when you get famous. Just kidding. So the other cool thing that I want to mention, because this is No Script, Just Chat. I don't know if you can see my hat clearly. It's kind of small. You know what this is? Can you tell from the logo? It's probably impossible.
I was going to say my eyes aren't as good as I'd like them to, especially. I don't even know if I could zoom in on that.
No, it's too small, and I can't even read it when I'm looking at it myself. So this is the LACC, the Los Angeles Country Club. The U.S. Open is at the Los Angeles Country Club. It opened up yesterday, so that was Thursday, June 15th, and it's going until the 18th. And it's the first time in 75 years that the U.S. Open has been at the LA Country Club. It was at Torrey Pines in San Diego, which
beautiful
down there.
Love it.
And it was down there in 2008 when Tiger Woods won it, made that miraculous putt from like 20 feet to go to a playoff, and then he forced the playoff and he won. I went for the first time to any. Normally I don't take a weekday off, but you gotta make exceptions when it's the U.S. Open. So I went yesterday to the opening day. Enormous course, and you see like a panoramic of like LA. It's pretty cool. You see the Beverly Hilton, you see Century City, you see downtown LA, you can see Beverly Hills from all different areas on the course. And like nestled in the, just the twisted metal, right, of Los Angeles, right, with traffic and honking and no nature, you got this huge 7,500 yard, beautiful private course, like just right in the middle of it all. And they opened, this is just kind of geeking out on golf info. They opened, I believe, in 1896 or 1886. So they've been around a long time, a lot of controversy. There was a lot of, protesting and before, and I think they didn't let in a lot of different club members, but now they've reorganized it. So they're just a regular private club now. And I saw a lot of the pros there and it was nuts. I mean, when you see these guys swinging, I'm a big golf guy, as for those that don't know, and you see these guys just swinging and it goes over 300 yards. And like when you're just sitting there watching them and you're like 8 feet away, you can hear the swing, you can hear the club going really fast. It's a whole other level of power, these guys, and accuracy and mental focus. And you hear the ball go through the air. It's just like, just, what's the word? It's like a fireball. It's like whizzing through the air so fast. You don't even see the ball. That's how fast they're hitting it. So it was cool. Yeah, I saw Rory McIlroy. I was like 5 feet away from him when he hit a shot into the rough. John Rahm was there. Obviously he's number one in the world. Scotty Scheffler, all these great guys. It was a lot of fun, a lot of walking. Super sore today. I think I walked over 25,000 steps. We were there for 9 hours. 9 hours. It started at 7:30 a.m. I got there at 9 with our family, my wife and child, and we stayed until 7:30 p.m. till like almost when the last group finished, and then we left. So if you're in LA and you can get tickets, it's a cool venue and huge, great walk, great exercise, and everything's overpriced, including this hat that I got, but it's fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know back when I was still in Ohio, we used to go to the I can't tell you the name of the event. It was a PGA event at Firestone in Akron, and it was always great to be there. To see, to walk the course and do the events. I know we saw all the big names, and it was sponsored. At least my host while I was there was always Smuckers, and they had a villa right there on one of the holes. It was awesome. So it was a good time.
Yep, exactly. So it's always good stuff. Always fun to go, even if you're not a golf fan. It's still just fun to be there. So this is the beauty of no script, just chat and live. And this is why we adamantly are not liking StreamYard at this time. They're our provider. Again, this is what makes it fun, right? Like this is like we're not recording the shit and then releasing it where we can edit it, all the mistakes and all the fuck ups and everything. And that's why we get the viewers we do.
Well, I was going to say that's one of the things, like the show we did with Jesse talking about the startup CPG. We recorded that a month ago.
Yeah.
And the difference between a traditional podcast and what we do is it's, and I tell people that all the time. They're like, oh yeah, I got to check it out. And I'm like, well, the magic is to be here live and to interact and, the dialogue that comes up as we look at the comments come in and back and forth. I don't know, Alex, maybe when we're bigger than we already are, we can do a pre-recorded one where we have a set topic and it's just audio released on a certain time. We can just do that thing. But the magic of this is simply that we log on pretty much a minute before the show starts and just go from there.
Exactly. And so that's part of the magic. And then the other part is that when things go wrong with the technical difficulties. So I just got a notice, StreamYard, and it says, please reconnect. And again, I reconnected it. You have to connect your LinkedIn profile to StreamYard. And then we've had no problems for about maybe almost a year. And here we are. There's an issue here. So I'm going to try to reconnect to see if people can actually see our comments. And so I'm going to click. It might take me out, but let me see. So this is, again,
this will be me doing improv if we take Alex out.
Exactly, which is a very scary thought, yet it could be really entertaining. So
it could be.
It's a party. It's a fiesta, right? Your shirt was foreshadowing. Let me try this out. Let me see. I'm gonna click the link. Okay. Sign in. Says I'm good. And now it says destination reconnected. You're good to go. All right.
Okay.
Because I haven't seen any comments in a good while.
There. I see them live, but I'm wondering if we have to leave and come back. But who knows? Who knows? But I had a couple things I wanted to touch on this week while we wait for it to see if this thing actually see if anyone
is even listening to us right now.
No, there's definitely people listening, but just for those of you listening, I have a couple friends in the space that potentially are looking for opportunities, and I say that I know some people on the marketing side that are looking for new opportunities. I know some people on the sales side that are looking for new opportunities. So if you're in the space and have an opportunity, touch base with me because I might have some people that could do some good things for you. And I don't want to divulge personal information, but I gladly will connect the dots. And like I said, there's some people that good people that are looking for new opportunities. And I think it's kind of we're halfway through the year almost. And I think tides are changing a little bit. We've rode through some different things. with COVID and just, some of the big news that I want to touch on this week, Alex, and I'm sure probably is on your list. We have some UNFI announced some huge changes this week as far as what I would call downsizing. I don't know, you can call it restructuring, whatever you want to call it, going from 4 regions to 3. According to their press release, roughly 150 people impacted, and some people, quite honestly, pretty close to myself. Some people that I know personally that are impacted by that decision. And if you're following their stock and some of the things that have happened over the last call it 3 to 6 months, I won't say that I'm entirely surprised, but as a result, there are some implications with people that I know that are affected. And then beyond that, also was the Cahey show this week that I've seen a lot of posts on social media. It looks like it was pretty good turnout. And then BevNet was this week also. So there's all sorts of things, Alex. I don't know. Did you have anything on your list that we should touch base on as far as what's going on this week in the world of CPG?
Yeah, I mean, everything except the KE show. We'll cover everything else. You knew that was coming. Been very vocal about how KE is very difficult to deal with. But you know what? If a brand wants to be there, if a brand wants to pay some money and hopefully close some accounts and grow their business, so be it. Just make sure to hire V-Driven to fight those deductions. That's a plug for our sponsor. So, yeah, I know a lot has been happening this week. We have Father's Day this Sunday on top of all that. So yeah, BevNet, and then there's also the Fancy Food Show, which is going to be at the end of this month. I believe it's next week, right? It's the last week of June. So that's going to be, I think it's actually a week from next week, right? I believe the Fancy Food Show,
right.
Not mistaken. And it looks like we have a lot of people on, by the way, even though we've had the technical difficulties. I see the live count. It's actually higher than it normally is. I think people are entertained. People are entertained when things go wrong. That's it's like, like YouTube. The reason that YouTube was created was not to watch the news or whatever. It's to watch outtakes, to watch bloopers, to watch some guy, walking in the street and slipping on a banana peel, right? That's what makes people laugh and want to watch.
It's a train wreck, Alex. Everyone likes it, right?
Everyone likes train wrecks. I mean, that's why there's looky-loos, right, on the freeway, right, when there's an accident. It's human nature, and we're embracing that with the show, right? It's a parade of screw-ups on this show. So, but yeah, there's a lot of great things going on, and I think it's just important we've talked about it, to be very choosy about what types of shows you want to go to and where you're going to get a return on investment. I mean, I've talked about that before. These shows like Unify, KE, whatever you have at DPI, which is now owned by KE, holiday shows, you're not always going to get max value. And you really got to make sure, if you're going to be spending 3-4K plus the travel and all this and the time, just make sure that there's retailers there that you can close that are really going to make it worth it. And so, I mean, the Coffee Specialty Expo where I went, a month and a half ago in Portland, that was a great show because, if you're a brand that, there is a brand there that does nut milks, they just make nut milks. And you think about it, if they close one account, right, you just kind of do the math on it. If they close one coffee shop that goes through 1,000 cups of coffee a day, right? That's the average. It's like over 1,000 cups. It's crazy. And of those, 70% of those cups of coffee, just dropping some coffee knowledge, 70% of them are lattes that have nut milk in it. People love lattes versus just black coffee. And so you're going to make a lot of money from that. So the whole point of this, without getting too random, is make sure you close an account you're going to get margin, make money on, and it's going to be a long-term partnership, you're not just writing an order and you get 1 or 2 orders and then they drop off. You got to make sure it's a long-term partnership. But are you going to any of these? Are you going to any shows before the end of the year? There's some Unify shows coming up, right? Isn't there?
Well, Mohegan Sun was last week or the week before, and I did not attend that. Coming up, and Fancy Food's coming up. I'm not scheduled to go there. Sweets and Snacks was probably 2 weeks ago in Chicago. I didn't hit that. But I'm saying all the things I didn't do or all the things that are coming up. As of now, I'm not scheduled for anything, but that could change. I've said all along, when you look at prioritization in my current role and what I do, for me, it's more important than my team, the people that are actively reviewing products and touching products and planograms and making decisions, that they go. By all means, if my workload allows me to, and if I can get away, I certainly would like to, just if nothing else for the relationship aspect. But right now it's not in the cards, but things change, right? I mean things change, and I need to do a better job of being more active on LinkedIn. I'm still here. If if you're, obviously I'm here every week on the show, but I'm lurking, I'm liking posts, I'm reviewing things, but quite honestly, with the I tend to Monday through Thursday at least to put my head down and just barrel ahead. And there's a lot of things behind the scenes that I'm working on that, with I get a lot of messages, both personal on my cell and LinkedIn, that I'm interacting with. I've talked to a few brands and connections this last week, just on various things that we're working on. So my plate's full. It's not over full, but it's piling up a little bit. And I do miss the shows a little bit. I had a great time at Expo, obviously with you and the events that we did, but just being able to walk around and see things, and just from my eye. But my focus is on my team and helping develop them and really letting them make some good decisions. And I've seen some things come out, people that have tagged either myself, somebody on my team, my company, that some new distributions and coming up. And I know that there's some that haven't been announced yet that I'm pretty excited about. But for me, I'm kind of taking a back seat and watching some other players kind of move to the forefront, if you will. And it's exciting because, as I said, I certainly don't want to micromanage or anything like that. And as I see my team making some decisions and some of the brands are going to be coming on board, I just sit back. I'm like, that's great. I mean, it's like, I certainly don't think of my team as children by any means, but if Alex, you'll find out really fast as someone close to you, your child, accomplishes something. It's like, man, it's like that proud papa face.
Exactly.
Like I said, not to belittle anyone on my team ever, but it's like, yep, that's a good move. So it's just kind of sitting back and watching and seeing the cards play out. That's kind of where I'm at right now. And there's some things coming up that will be announced that it's like, yep, that's a good move.
Awesome, man. Well, any great team, it's the people, but it's also, to me, just the leadership, right? It's motivating, it's inspiring. And when the team is a great team, they have a great leader, but also what makes a great leader is also a great team. So it's a very what's the word? Symbiotic, right? Relationship where you're both helping each other. And that's what it takes. Dreamwork makes the team work. So I'm really happy that your team is moving up, accomplishing more, stepping it up even more than what they were before. And I'm sure you definitely have you're taking a part in that, in leveling everyone up. So I wanted to reset the room because we have some new comments that came in. And one thing, I've talked about this before, but I always like to talk about this, is what the one thing I like about shows is that you have the in-person personal touch, which you just can't get right with emails. And I'm quickly realizing, I've been out of the heavy sales game for probably about 2 years, right? Like Genius Juice, we got into a bunch of new accounts. Some worked, some didn't. We kind of just kept coasting in these accounts. But now that I'm selling shots in, right, to a bunch of new accounts and doing emails again and phone calls, it's turned into a freaking mess Okay. Like in the last 2 years, like I just being honest about it, right? Like emails, it's very hard to get people to respond by emails, especially if you're approaching a buyer, right? Unless there's a really good relationship or there's something like on the docket where there's going to be a review and they've already acknowledged they're going to meet with you. And it's kind of like emails, like a convenience, right? Like, oh, I'll see you this date, or let's send a calendar invite, or I'll do a Google Meet with you, or whatever it is. But as far as pitching people for the first time and getting access to even presenting your product, email is a disaster right now. And it's not that buyers are being, ignoring. It's just, there's too many. It's just too much coming in to handle, because so many people rely on emails now to get your product pitch, to set meetings, to send sell sheets and pricing. So the one thing that in-person shows just do great on is that you get that buyer that you've been waiting for a half a year or a year to meet in person. And then the buyer doesn't even know who you are, right? They just see an email. You see them in person, you shake their hand, and if there's a great energy between you and there's a great conversation, that dramatically increases your chance of actually getting into that account, because people like to work with people. People like to work with people that they actually like and enjoy working with. And they also have to believe in the product and the mission, obviously, and think it's a good fit. But it's just much more likely in person with a handshake, a smile, seeing the product, tasting the product, feeling it, that you're going to actually get that deal closed. So that's what's happening in my business right now, where I'm going to a lot of coffee shops and eateries and food service. Nothing gets closed. Like I'm serious. It's like 90% don't close until I walk in. The owner's right there. I'm there. The owner's not in the middle of something else. I go up to him or her, shake their hand, tell them, present who I am, present the product, give them the product. And within 3 minutes, they're like, this looks really good. I'm likely to bring this in. I got to think about it and when this will go in. So it's just amazing how much more you can accomplish in person versus this whole digital thing, where don't try to rely on email or text. It's not going to work to close a deal.
Right.
But
well, and I was going to say, you touched on a couple of things that I'd like to at least interject a few things. One, and I talk about this as far as etiquette and how to approach people and things like that. And I can't tell you how many times, whether it's a given week or what have you, my email isn't hard to figure out. Right. I mean, if you spend 2 minutes Googling the format, and that's not just me, that's pretty much any larger organization. If you spend a little bit of time, you're going to find out it's blank.com, blank.net. It's, first name dot last name, first name hyphen, whatever it is. Right. Mm-hmm. But just because you have the power of that information doesn't mean you should send a 10 megabyte deck. Right. And we talked about decks. I talked about ditch the deck, all those things. But what you need to think about from a sales perspective is that oftentimes, especially when you're talking about organizations, larger organizations, they have a cap on email size, whether you're sending it, whether it's their total inbox, what have you, their total mailbox rather. And I'm going to raise my hand and say, at least once a week, I have to go through and clear room so that my mailbox doesn't become over capacity. And so if you're one of those people that has this beautiful deck, you think this is a beautiful deck, that's 12 to 15 pages, that you think that's your first move, it's a good first move, is to send that over and it's 20 megabytes, it's a terrible move. It's, whether you're bogging down your target's email inbox or just too much information. The same thing happens on LinkedIn messages. It's like, someone that I've never interacted with will reach out and it's like, oh, let's set up a phone call. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. I oftentimes talk about, a first date or some kind of, just think of things, crawl, walk, run. I use that hashtag deliberately in every post that I make. You really shouldn't try to set up, in my opinion, Alex, and I'm anxious to hear what you had to say about this after I'm finished. But, you really shouldn't try your first contact to say, oh, do you have time next week to talk? I mean, it's like I barely know your name. I don't necessarily know your company, your product, your service, your brand, and you want me to get on the phone with you next week. And I just, I'm deleting, I'm putting the brakes on. I'm like, thanks, but no thanks. What do you think, Alex, as far as that whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, everything is just patience, and things take time to get in front of the person. And like, a lot of people are like quantity over quality. They're like, let me reach out to as many buyers as I can and get a deck over them, get an email over to them, try to set up a meeting. And they just kind of go through like boom, 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 boom. Like, they're going through like, a Rolodex trying to get one person to say yes. That's something called telemarketing. Like it's a version of telemarketing where it's a numbers game. And I think like in sales, the numbers game is quickly changing to it's a quality game. Get to a few people, build a relationship. Unfortunately, it's hard to get access to some people. It's just hard. You're never going to see them in person. You might, hopefully catch them at a show. So this is where you need to really think about and be strategic as to, and it goes back to what you said on Startup CPG. Am I the right fit for this retailer? That's the first thing you got to ask yourself. Am I the right fit? And if I present this, are they going to be receptive to what I'm offering? And if they're receptive to what you're offering, that's a good first step because they're more likely like to actually respond to you if it's something that's a good fit for that retailer. So if you pick the right niche and the right markets, they're more likely to respond. And you have to do diligent follow-up every 2 to 3 weeks until you get a hold of them. Other than that, you don't want to do too much because then there could be damage done and you can piss that person off. And we've talked about that over and over again. So I guess my kind of final conclusion is I hear you and feel you, all the salespeople and all the owners that are out there. It's just really, really hard sometimes to get access. And if that is the case, you put that on hold and you move on to another contact. Put that person on hold. They're not going to respond. It's a condition or a stall. Either they're busy with something else or they don't want to talk to you. Don't keep following up. Put it on hold. Go to something else that could bear more fruit sooner. And then one other thing that I also realized when you're dealing with like owners, right? Like there's buyers and corporate buyers. When you're going to more independents, owners hate the shit out of emails and technical things and paperwork. And I'm sure buyers do too. And buyers deal with it, but like, right. And you deal with it because you have to with resets and planograms. But when it comes to like this, having a one-on-one or presenting, like you say, ditch the deck. Don't make it technical. Don't make it all about numbers. Don't go through all the, there's data. Data is good as a supporter. But when you're talking to someone high up or an owner, they just want to have a human to human connection and conversation so they can like you and more likely move forward. And so when I meet with owners, especially at coffee shops, I simplify the hell out of it. I make it really, really quick, like 2 minutes, This is what it is. And I'm an owner too. I get you're busy and I'm just going to tell you exactly what it is. Here's the value it's going to bring. And let me know what you think. Here's a sample. I'm going to go. And what I like to do, this is kind of like dating, goes back to dating, is you leave before they say, I got to go. That's a good one. And again, this is more for owners. Like you say, you know what, I'm going to get going. Here's the information. I know you're busy. And you just walk out the door and they're like, oh, wow, he actually left before I said, I got to go. So, and that's a respect of their time. And that actually works pretty well. So anyway, these are all just like small little things. Again, would that work if you're presenting to, the buyer at Kroger? Probably not, right? Like, you got to be careful. But for an owner who's really busy, these are things to really keep in mind when you're pitching.
I think it comes back to I mentioned on that podcast about knowing your audience and your target, your end consumer and whatnot. But it also has to do with who you're in the room with, to your point, right? If it's a buyer, you have this approach. If it's a buyer at X retailer, you have that approach. If it's a buyer at Y retailer, you have that approach. If it's an owner at Z retailer, you have this approach. You cannot have a cookie cutter this one size fits all. This is what I'm going to go to the table with, right? You cannot do that. You have to cater your approach to each customer, each target, each person that you're dealing with, and just make it personalized so that they feel you're connecting with them, as opposed to, yeah, this is the same thing you told the guy across the street, the guy, the next guy that's coming in, the next girl that's coming in, what have you, right? It's got to be, I want to have that, okay, you're talking to me, right? Not him, her, them, us.
Mm-hmm.
It's me. And if you're not using that approach, you're probably not having as much success as you could have, regardless of your product. And I guess that's the key point for me that I would say take away is you can have the best product in the world, but if your sales approach is overly deliberate or aggressive or unpersonalized, you're going to have a problem, and that's the thing that I think so many times in sales, it's like, well, this is a no-brainer. Yeah, but your person isn't likable or your person is a jerk or coming across one way or the other, right? And I think that gets lost more often than not. So that's me.
Yeah, exactly. And the salesperson, there's some comments here I'm going to shout out. Like, we have Gavin here, we have Daniel Quijano, a good friend of mine who's an excellent salesperson, that he has these great comments, and we're going to shout you out in a second. It's really being present to also how they're reacting to what you're saying, because there's nothing that's more aggravating as a buyer, right? Where you're sending them a message that you're talking too much, or stop pitching me, or I'm not interested, or I want to, you want to uncover certain things about, you have questions, and the salesperson is not listening. They're just talking, they're pitching, they're showing up and throwing up, and all these things you heard in pitching seminars and all this stuff. So actually being present to how they're reacting to what you're saying, you adjust it on the fly in real time. So if there's someone that's a really friendly and loves to chat and wants to talk about his coffee shop and what he's doing in renovations, I don't even make it about the pitch. I just start asking about his coffee shop. Wait, oh, you're going to I remember last time you're going to put a fridge there, right? Or something like that. And you come across, I'm not all about the sale. I'm also about getting to know you, building the relationship. Tell me about you. So what's going on? Tell me more. And then if you get a sense where they're starting to get a little bit antsy and you know what I mean? Anxious, you're like, hey, I can see there's a lot going on here. Here's the information, and I'll come back in a couple weeks. I'll just give you a call, or I'll check back. I'll shoot you an email, and thanks for taking the time. And there's, there was one buyer too, it was really cool, where he sat down with me for 30 minutes. It was awesome. It was a small coffee shop. I emailed him, right? I went to the shop. I could never catch him, right? Never catch him. And the staff said, please email him. And I'm like, oh, this shit again, emailing, and they're never going to respond, and they're busy. So I emailed the guy. They said, and they it was funny. The guy looked at me. He's like, I know what you're thinking. The guy, the barista at the front, he's like, this guy responds to emails. And I still didn't believe him. I'm like, really? They're so busy, and I get almost no responses, because that's just the nature of the game. He responded to my email within about an hour. And he said, I'll meet you at this time, this day. If you can do it, come on down. I came on down. He was there. We met on time, gave me 30 minutes, listened intently, tried the product, had great feedback. Likely they're going to bring it in. It's never 100% closed until the product's on the shelf, but it's looking really good. Great energy. And I sent him a thank you email, because it's authentic. I'm like, you went above and beyond what other coffee shop owners or general managers do. And I just want to acknowledge you for that. I want to thank you for that. You have no idea how much it meant to me that you gave me that time of day. You responded to my emails, because a lot of people don't. And so that's the authentic thank you and love for someone that just really helps you. So, authenticity is great. And then one other thing too is serving versus pleasing. Have you heard about this concept at all, or Wade?
Say that one more time.
Serving versus pleasing.
Yeah.
So it's like, a lot of people try to please, right? Get kissing up, and like you can tell, right, in the conversation. They're just kissing up to you. They tell you what you want to hear. They say, oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, and making a lot of promises. And there's stories I've read about, like long stories, I'll make it short, like vacuum salespeople, where they come in wanting the sale, right? And they come in, knock on the door, like Kirby vacuums, right? We used to be door to door. And they come in saying they're pleasing them and kissing up, and it's hard to get the sale. So it's sometimes also owners or decision makers just want you to get to the point, right? There's those types of people too. Just get to the point. Tell me what it is. I'm really busy. And so you come across as to, how can I serve you? This vacuum, here's the dirt, it cleans the dirt right off. Boom. It's going to clean it. It's going to clean wine stains. It's going to clean dirt. And so like the Kirby vacuum people taught their sales force this premise of serving versus pleasing. And they were the first company to give their salespeople dirt in bags and say, put the dirt on their carpet right in the middle, talk to the owner and say, if you spilled all this dirt or wine or milk or whatever, that would really suck. Have you ever found a vacuum to clean that up? No. Well, let me show you. And they throw it on the ground, and it's very dramatic, right, for those days. But that's the premise of, how is my product going to bring value to you, right? How is it going to serve you and your shop? How is it going to increase revenue? And coming from that angle versus just pleasing them to get the sale is also, I think, really, really crucial.
Right. Well, I think it goes back to do what you say, only say what you'll do. Right. And that to your point, that whole serving, pleasing, however you want to look at it. If you're a salesperson that is just saying whatever you need to say to get the sale, but then you're not following up with it, going back to do what you say only say what you'll do. If you're overcommitting, you're not going to get a repeat sale. It's just not going to happen. So you might get your foot in the door and get something on the shelf, but your buyer's going to remember, oh yeah, she said, I do this, but they didn't. Right. And so I think it's important to think to approach things with that mindset that, yes, if you're looking at and hopefully you are in the scope of business looking at long-term partnerships. We've talked about this. We talked about in this episode. If you're just shooting for short-term wins, the longevity, the sustainability of that is probably not very strong, right? I mean, you're constantly going to be treading water and hoping for something else to come rescue you. And if you use the mindset of, I'm in it for partnership relationships, and what we can do, not just now, but 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years down the road, your sustainability, your long-term success is more likely to be there, just simply because that's your mindset, right? I mean, anybody can sell anything at any given time, but it's the repeat buys, right? I mean, I talk about that all the time. It's like getting it on the shelf, in my opinion, is the easy point. It's getting it to buy after that, and 6 months from now, and so on and so forth. And I think that serving, pleasing mentality that you're talking about kind of fits in hand with that approach, is, just using that vision, right?
Yep. It really is. And so it's like, and there's some comments here about, this serving versus pleasing. It's a 5-minute conversation, but, getting to the point, really, really key, going through what it does for you and how it's going to help you. I mean, and you notice, like, I don't know about you, but the salespeople that I really like, are ones that don't talk a lot. And, like, it's just, unless you really hit it off, you can talk a lot. But I remember going to, like, the Tesla dealership, and, we were planning on getting one anyway, because Tesla's Tesla and the price was good. And there's a $7,500 rebate, and they're not a sponsor on the show. We'd love them to be, but they're not yet. And the salesperson was just like, here it is. Here's the features. Here's the future too, and the features. And there's a tax credit. I own one. I own equity in the company. Blah blah blah. I have shares, and it's a great car. And go for a test drive. He gave me all the features within 3 minutes. Go for a test drive. Here's the key. Go to the parking structure. I'm not even going to be with you. Okay. Like, just go out for an hour, like just whatever. He's just like, it's almost like, it's not like he didn't care, but he was just like, the car sells itself. We know it's a great fit for for a person. You've mentioned what your habits are, how much you drive. It's a great fit. And the brand speaks for itself. Now that Tesla has a strong brand, right? So they got that. They're fortunate. But what I love is the dealership and the way that it's designed is all about serving versus pleasing. It's a small footprint, very small. You can get to where you need to go within 10 seconds. You can see the car right there. There's only 3 choices. It's like in and out, the menu. It's like there's 3-4 choices. You pretty much know what you're going to get. The salespeople do not work on commission. So that just alleviates all concerns right there. And it's funny how they have done no advertising. They're going to start, but they have done 0 ads. Tesla, no Super Bowl ads, nothing. It's all word of mouth based on the experience. So that's another great example of like, they just tell you what you need to know. You go to a parking structure and pick out the car, you drive it, you come back. I remember the guy, when we first drove the Model Y, we drove up Malibu. We went from Santa Monica up Malibu to Palisades, and we're gone for like an hour and a half. And when we came back, the guy's just like, sounds like you enjoyed it. All right. Like you didn't get pissed, So anyway, I want to read some of these comments out. So it's not showing up here in StreamYard, but we're gonna tell you this. It goes pretty far back.
Yeah, we're multitasking.
So a lot of back and forth between Kenny Hausman and Gavin Conkle. Congratulations, Gavin, to getting some increased distribution and some expansion with True Drinks. Love that, buddy. You're just a grinder. You get it done. So congratulations. Gavin is asking, Wade, did you get his 25 megabyte deck?
Yeah, I was gonna say I responded back and forth with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Most retailers like 8 to 12 megabytes. That's also him commenting. A lot of back and forth here. Let me get to. Okay, and also Gavin has a new home, so congratulations to that. Always PDF. PDF is always the best because it's easy to pull up.
Smaller size.
It's compressed. Let's see. So we have Daniel Quijano here. Relationship building is essential. The CPG industry is an emotional industry. Real human interaction is the path. Because like when you pitch it, people have an emotional connection to brand and product, right? You feel like when I meet with buyers, they sometimes even wear hats that have the brand on it or like a sweater, right? Which you've done many times. You have this emotional connection to the founder, to the mission, and it's really cool. And so, and I want to mention too that at the LA Country Club at the US Open, there was no plastic bottles. It was all cans, and they served smart water in the can or in a twist off, and there were refill stations all over the place. So this whole thing that liquid death, started, death to plastic, and then you got Jimbo's that eliminated the whole plastic aisle.
Right.
It's now becoming. I didn't see one person with a plastic water bottle, except some of the pros, because they just like carrying plastic. Did
you see anyone with a Rich Insights Yeti bottle while you were there?
We did. We had one.
Yeah. Yep. What does it look like?
All right. So let me show here. Little plug. All right. So we got to get to our next segment, don't we? All right. So a couple more comments. Martin Stoops, how you doing, brother? And then more Gavin Conkle stuff. And then Kenny Hausman, Gavin. And then the serving versus pleasing. Sean Burke says the 5-minute audio. Make sure to look that up. And then Kenny says was cruising in a Tesla across Maui yesterday. Very cool. All right. So our next segment is stuff we love. Let's see here. So we're going to go to that. And Wade, why don't you start us off?
I actually did come prepared. So, one is I've been sipping on throughout the episode. Dima was gracious enough to send me a new supply of Guru energy drinks. So
Nice.
I'm, that's good stuff. And this one, I don't know if we talked about this, but I got this and this is one of those things that I don't have the information in front of me with regards to how I got it. I want to say it was the naturally, there's naturally San Diego, naturally New York, so on and so forth. I want to say this came from the naturally Bay Area. If not, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say the brand. And Alex, this is going to be for you, but this is a Pescavore, and it's ahi tuna jerky strips, and it's just awesome product, right? It's single serve, 100 calories, give or take, 110, 15 grams of protein, high, obviously with tuna, high in omega-3s, delicious product. I got a couple of these and I've been snacking on these the last couple of days. Big fan. So it's Pescavore, and it's pescavoreseafood.com. I'll put the link in the chat. Good stuff.
Cool. All right. So mine is going to be maybe a little controversial, but not really. So I'm actually going to cover up the invoice numbers, but I love when there's a distributor that's major national distributor where there's no chargebacks. So this is a unified check, and you can see right here. And again, some people, everyone, but you can see here, not a single chargeback on this entire thing. So you see I'm covering the invoice number, but
all positive numbers.
All positive numbers, and that's really, again, I talk about a lot on the show, but if there's a national distributor that you go with, and this is, they're not sponsoring, they haven't reached out to me privately to say, can you give us a good word? This is just my experience as a business owner working with different national distributors, that Unify has been one of the more reasonable, minimal chargebacks, ordering the right amounts, minimal disposition fees, right? Like, stuff going bad in the warehouses. And so I just want to give them a shout out that they've done a great job in managing our account. And they reached out to me recently to have a planning meeting for 2024. So they're on it. So so just giving some love to Unify it's hard to be a national distributor and manage all this stuff, right? And all these warehouses and all these brands, and their freight program, very reasonable. So again, everyone has a different opinion, get that. Some people have had great experiences, bad experiences. That happens with any big company. But I'd say for my 7 years working with them, they've been really freaking reasonable to us as a small brand. So Unify.
Awesome.
All right. So our next segment, which is called Friday Freebies, Rich Insights, baby.
Friday Freebies.
All right. So as mentioned, our sponsor this week is Rich Insights. And I'm going to let you do the Rich Insights one. I'm just going to quickly do the V-Driven one. I don't have it pulled up, but I'm just going to speak from the heart.
Okay.
Great team, from Marine Boland Parks to Brandon Mahin to Luke Abbott to Alex Borova. They got a very talented team where they're sales professionals. I would call them a master sales organization. They have deep relationships with many different buyers across the country where they can pick up a phone and within reason get a meeting if they really like your brand and believe in it. So, the broker model is great. Some people go with brokers, or they have brokers and a sales organization. You can have both. You can have a master sales managing your brokers like Sean Berg, that's a national broker. We love him. So V-Driven is a great, I think a great solution when you can't afford a full-time VP of sales as well for $100,000 a year. And they can help kind of fill in that gap and get you connected into the right accounts. So that's V-Driven. They also do trade spend deduction management, which is very, very key since you need to protect your bottom line, and they help go through line by line any chargebacks to make sure that those are legit. And if they're not, they will fight them. So reach out to V-Driven. Best ways to reach out directly to the CEO. He's very hands-on. We love this guy, Luke, right? He's so hands-on, full of love, loves helping brands. He'll hop on the phone with you. Like, he doesn't hide behind. He's not in the ivory tower. like some other CEOs are. He's right there with the people. And his email is luke.abbott, Luke dot Abbott, ABBOTT, at vdriven.com. Not .co, not .net, not .shop.com, the original, the OG.
And I did put it in the chat, unfortunately, for whatever reason. Thank you, StreamYard, or don't thank you. It is in the chat, both the website and Luke's contact information, as well as richinsightsresearch.com, Rich Moniz, who's active in the chat right now. And we've shouted him out. Alex is partaking of his Yeti bottle right now. But Rich, kidding aside, even if he wasn't sponsoring us, if you're in this space and you're not intrigued by the work that Rich does, I don't know what to tell you, because they use eye tracking to help your product get noticed on the shelf more often. Getting noticed more often is the best way to get picked up more often, and that leads to getting purchased more often. And they also plant trees with each project. But that was a little blurb they sent me to read. But I mean, go follow Rich. He's active in the chat. Follow him and look at some of the things he's posted in the last week or two with regards to some of the work they've done. Just some of the what makes your consumer tick as far as when they're looking at a product on the shelf and what's noticed, whether it's on the shelf, whether it's on your package, the attributes, just the different things. I mean, there's so much work that they're doing that really, if you're looking at it from, I feels like so many times people have kind of like their lens on and they only look at the good or what have you. And Rich Insights, they're looking beyond that, and what your end consumer is picking up or what they're looking at. And ultimately that's what we need to be focused on, is what's going to make that product go out the front door, not just what looks pretty and what you feel is a good take. So he's gracious enough. He's giving us, and the pressure's on, Alex, because I haven't been thinking about this, but he's giving us 2 prizes, and you're going to get that Yeti water bottle with the Rich Insights logo on it. As you mentioned, you're partnering here. You're going to get a 6-pack of Genius Smoothies. You're going to get a donation of 25 trees planted. And so all that stuff together, roughly $100. But I mean, trees live forever, right? And they're going to outlive all of us. So I would go as far as to say it's priceless. So we've got 2 winners, which means, I guess, Alex, that we have to have 2 questions.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and I'm not prepared for that. So we've got to figure it out.
I got one. And then, by the way, we're editing the the second prize, or again, you can pick either one, right? You can get the Rich Insights Yeti bottle, which is the preferred CPG Vibes bottle for everyone. We love this. I use it every single day. I'm not kidding.
And I do too, honestly.
Yep.
It's my work bottle. Yep.
The go-to, super high quality. It's $50 to $60 or even more once you customize it. So it's well worth it. So you can win the 25 trees planted and the Rich Insights Yeti bottle. That's one prize. The second prize is going to be actually a 12-pack of our Genius shots. So we're going to not do the smoothies.
It's edited. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to edit that out. And the reason being, it's coming out in about a month. And again, you have to kind of follow up with us in a month, but we'll make sure to get that prize to you. You'll be one of the first in the country to get it direct delivered. And it's not going to be on a FedEx. Well, it will be on FedEx, but it will be personally packed by me, because it won't even be in our warehouse yet. I'm going to get it right off the line, go straight to FedEx, and ship it out to your home, excluding Hawaii and Alaska. So continental US. So Kenny, you have to come over here again to get some shots. So I have one question, and then I'm going to have you just creatively pull this out of your you-know-what while I'm asking our question, or my question. So this, and you can pick either prize, the Rich Insights prize from Rich Moniz or Genius Juice, the Genius Shots. So my question is, why did we change the time today? What was the main reason for CPG Vibes?
Very nice. I feel like you kind of robbed me, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, that's what I do best.
Well, let's just make it interesting, and I'll throw my question out at the same time so we can keep things moving. So, I have this beautiful pink Fiesta shirt on today. What establishment? I'm gonna try and make it easy. The name of the establishment and or the city that the establishment resides in. Where's this shirt from?
God, I don't know that answer because I was so busy figuring out the StreamYard problems that I was multitasking and totally missed that part when you said that. It looked like I was paying attention, but
Looks like if I'm following correctly over on the side, Mr. Stoops got the question right as far as why we're early. And ooh, look at this. Lance Wrecker got the city right. It's a shirt from San Antonio. So Martin was first, so he gets to pick which one he wants, and then Lance, you get the other one. So,
well, I'm not even seeing them come up on my side. So you're seeing it before me.
Yeah. I'm seeing Martin was first. So Martin, Friday Vibes 100 at gmail.com.
CPG vibes.
Oh, that's terrible. Okay. That's terrible. See, I'm wearing
you take your mud water yet today?
Yeah, I need some. I need to drink some more of that Guru. I'm only about halfway gone. I was gonna say, CPG Vibes 100 at gmail.com. Martin, let us know which one you want. And then Lance, I don't recall seeing Lance on the show before. So Lance, welcome and congratulations. Again, Lance, we need your information. You're going to get whichever. So Martin wants Rich's prize, and that means Lance is going to get the shots. So cool. Lance, send your address to cpgvibes100 at gmail.com, and we'll get those genius shots. You'll be one of the first in the country to try those shots, right, Alex?
Yeah, right after me. So we'll try them at the same time so that we'll both be the first. So good stuff. And then I just want to make one more plug as well, because we're all about supporting the community. I'm going to be a guest speaker at Next Level Summits, June 26 to 28, 2023 at the Hyatt Regency in Scottsdale, Arizona, and Brand-Jectory territory, that area. Right. So I'll probably see Tom out there when I'm out there, but you can it's complimentary tickets. Usually there's a cost, but they're making it complimentary to get a bigger crowd out. And there's going to be beverages and food. There's going to be some sponsors there, and obviously many, many guest speakers from the CPG industry. And it's this beautiful venue, being a beautiful hotel. If you're anywhere near Arizona, if you're in Nevada, California, Utah, New Mexico, drive in to Scottsdale. It's a little hot, but I promise you great air conditioning at the Hyatt Regency. Fantastic air conditioning, great flow. June 26 to 28, you can message Stewart Press, Stewart Press on LinkedIn, or you can also email him. And I have the email here, which is, I'm actually trying to track it down here. That is Press, and I'm going to look it up actually in my email, because I just want to make sure you reach out to this guy. It's Press, Press at N as in Nancy, L as in Larry, S as in Sam, N as in Nancy, A. So Press at NLSNA.com. And I'll be a guest speaker there on the 27th. So make sure to come out and say hello and enjoy some smoothies with us. I know if you were closer, you're really far across the country, but if you were anywhere in the vicinity, I'm pretty sure you'd show up.
I definitely would. There's a lot of good people there in Arizona, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. But so next week we didn't talk about, but we can plug real quick as we get ready to close the show. We have, I'm going to tell you, if I would have used this again for stuff we love, but if I'm being honest, I've pretty much crushed everything he sent me. Bilal, the one and only Bilal with Bilani, is our sponsor next week. And if you haven't had his stuff, man, you don't look like me, because I had a flatbread for lunch yesterday. I think it was the last of the, and I threw some of the mint yogurt sauce on there. It was phenomenal. But our guest, Alex, I'm counting on you to plug our guest. It's Yuval.
Yep. So Yuval, he is the CEO, co-founder of CP Genius. And he also is the co-founder of Promo Mash, which has this whole app that is used for, doing promotions and managing them. He's also an expert in trade spend deduction fighting, right, and auditing. So that's a big business that he's gotten into with his partners in the last couple years, with all these brands going through tremendous challenges with trade spend deductions from different distributors. So he's incredibly insightful, very smart. I think that means the same thing. And I'm just using insightful just to be on point with our sponsor. And so make sure to tune in. Very well spoken. He's in Arizona, Sedona. And so he's going to have a lot to say about, and he's like a veteran in the CPG space. So you'll learn a lot from him. So check it out.
Yeah. So that's next week. And we like to kind of look ahead and talk about some of the things we have. We have Sandro Rocco coming up from Sanzo.
That's going to be a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. We have Noah Wunsch coming up. We have Hank Watt. We have Jonathan Bonnell. We have Luke Abbott, BevNet, Jake Carls, on and on and on and on. So we've got a lot of things coming up in the weeks to come. And that's just our guests, not to mention our sponsors. So if you're not tuning in every week, what's wrong with you? You should be. That's all I got, Alex.
5 stars. That's just this one last reminder. Go to Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars on our podcast. We need every single rating to get us to the road to 100. Copyright by Patrick Sinclair. So make sure to do that. Last thing we always end on is what do you got going on? I mean, just hanging out with family and daughter this weekend.
You got it. You got it. Laying low, hanging out, showing our daughter the sights and things around our general vicinity here, and just spending quality time together.
Awesome. Well, happy Father's Day to everyone on Sunday, which I'm sure you guys are celebrating with your daughter in town on Sunday.
Happy first Father's Day to you, Alex.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thanks. It's still pinching myself becoming a father. I'm just so fortunate and lucky and super blessed. We have a healthy baby boy. So yeah, he's 7 months old. So this will be my first Father's Day. We're going out on Saturday night because Sunday we'll be back at the U.S. Open. So
in this Happy Father's Day indeed. Happy Father's
Day. That's like a blessing on top of a blessing.
I was just going to say, pretty sure your wife didn't sign up for that, but that's a Father's Day wrapped up. So
totally, it's the whole package. We got the baby there also. Like we're all going there. We're going to walk the course, and I'll just make sure if there's a really crucial putt, right? Like everyone's quiet, right? We want to make sure that Aaron doesn't go, like right in the middle of the putt. But a lot of fun, and it's the final day of the tournament. And we were actually, not to go on and on, we were not meant to even be there on Sunday. We got offered the tickets by someone in the banking industry that met me on LinkedIn and said, we're going to give you 4 tickets. And I'll take 20 seconds here. But so I invited myself, obviously, because I got to go. My wife, that's 2. We got 4 tickets. Aaron is no cost. He doesn't count as a ticket because he's under 2 years old. So I invited my friend who basically got me into golf. And when I invited him, when I called him and said, I would like you to join me at the LA Country Club US Open final day, you get to see the winner, get to see everything. And the tickets are really expensive. I mean, they're $300-$400 each. So he couldn't even afford to go. He started crying on the phone. And he said, it's my dream to be in the PGA. And when I first saw the LA Country Club, I've always wanted to go there and see a match. And it's my dream to play there. So you inviting me and going there and seeing the pros and seeing a winner, that is it's going to make my life. It's just amazing. So it's cool. I invited someone that's really going to appreciate it. And we're going to walk the course together and see all the pros and all that. So it's going to be fun.
Love it. We'll enjoy it. It's going to be special. More ways than one. Hopefully the weather cooperates.
Yep. It was good on Thursday. It was overcast. So Excellent. June gloom is in full effect here in LA. So
right on.
Right, brother. Love you.
Love you, buddy.
Have a great weekend. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next Friday at our normal time, which is going to be 2:30 p.m. I forget the time because we've changed it a few times.
We have
2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. Take care, everyone.